HHDG. We are on another episode of HHDG Media podcast. And as always, big shout out to everyone that's tuning in through our YouTube channel as well as our Facebook group. As you can see on our bottom banner, you can always check out the latest music, our previous written interviews, our merchandise, and also our upcoming events. Always big shout out to what makes this possible, and that is our company, HHDG Media Inc., which consists of Rock Vader KB, T. Smith, Skelly Top, the Mayor, and myself, Wiki. For tonight, we have a guest who I've known probably longer than I known that he did music through a friend of mine who is his cousin. I went to college with his cousin, and the thing is, you never know other people's talents, and it was great to find out of this talented lyricist coming out of Passaic, New Jersey, who I would like to say has had a very positive evolution, not just lyrically, but also in life, in his own inner peace, his journeys, as well as helping others worldwide through one of the basic essentials that we all need, and that is water. And we'll definitely delve into speaking on GVI, which is Global Village Initiation, and we're also going to speak also on something pivotal for many musicians traveling abroad, and that is this guide right here, On the Road Again, 25 Essential Tips for International Touring, which is, I looked, and it definitely is the first of its kind for musicians. And it's very important for anyone, to give one of the best guides for anyone traveling abroad. And it's also helpful, traveling in your own country. And I believe that anyone can learn from this, and it can be expanded to tutorials, webinars, seminars, conferences. It's very expansive. And that keyword expansive is also a segue to his company, V2G Multimedia, which is, again, expansive, not just making videos or photography. There's so much more out there that can fall under that one umbrella. So we also going to talk about his journey to Kemet, which is a beautiful thing, and also his new mixtape, the Heru mixtape, was dropped on the day after my birthday, August 23rd, and we're going to find out how all this comes into one. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Venomous2000.
What's up, brother? How you, man?
How you doing? I'm doing good. Doing good.
Yo, bro, listen, after that intro, I was like, oh, man, I hope I could actually, add up to all of these wonderful compliments that you gave me, man. And yeah, always good seeing you, brother. Always.
Absolutely. But look, you're living truth. This is you.
I'm working on a few things, is what I have to tell people, because look, I was about to say it there. I'm working on getting rid of that word try, as so many
Right.
elders of the people I've been able to connect with have been telling me, like, just be mindful of that word try. Like,
Yeah.
Master Yoda is right. It's do or do not. That's it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Now, I think the first um, project I may have heard from you was trying to think what that might be.
Uh-oh, he going.
it was around 2014 or 2015. I know it was somewhere around there.
So if it was
It
2000,
might have been a moment to reflect. What was that?
part
Two or
three,
three?
that was
Three.
probably part three. Because if it was 2014, yeah, 2013 to 2014 was after my middle child was born in 2013, and I know I that was kind of like my intro to kind of like get back into doing the music and everything, and that
Okay.
was my also my first attempt myself to press up some vinyl. Like I did everything myself on
Okay.
with a white label and everything. So yeah, that was a wild project. It was a lot of things going on, and I said I probably got to that point where a lot of artists get to where you're like you have so much music and so many ideas that you just
Hmm.
become stagnated and you're sitting on stuff. So I
Right.
kind of was like, you know what? Let me just pull some of these things together. I had already did that tour with Nims and Afu Ra and Keith Murray and all of us. We had came back from there, and I was like, you know what? Let me just do this to kind of ride that wave. And
Yeah.
yeah, that was an ill project, man. And I pressed up some of them. I couldn't get like all 20 something songs on there on the vinyl, but I got a few.
Yeah, because I mean, I know that keeping the best quality on vinyl, I believe it's 45 minutes.
I've heard different stories. Some people say 30 minutes, 15 to
Mhm.
15, if you want to like really have the best
Yeah.
quality and everything. But I know for that project, being that I just, was trying to, get my brother, like my man Ramageddon. Shout out to my man Ramageddon. He told me that that was his first time being on vinyl, which I was surprised about.
Oh
But
wow.
I know I squeezed on a joint, for him and a bunch of other ones. And I know it reduced the sound quality, but at that time, I just was like, "Yo, I got to get this done." I was pressed for time. I was taking a risk with even pressing it up with a pressing company in like England somewhere. It was crazy, crazy, crazy.
That's dope. That's dope. Now, how do you feel speaking on that project now and seeing the projects that came after that to 2025?
Um, that's an interesting question because people will look at me. Some people will be like, "Yo, you made it," and I'm like, like, wait, where? Like, I'm still like going. Like in my mind, when people say like a person, an MC, an artist, or ask what I always do, I have to speak. Let me personalize this. When I think of an artist years ago, when they made it, like they don't have to do anything else. They got bread, they got money, and then life is just this, thing. But I realize
Yeah.
like the making it is still doing like it's an illusion that some people I guess fall under because I was under it, that people just have to stop. But the goal of all of this, as a wise old Italian dude recently told me, my man Sabino that I interview, he said the key is you just got to keep going. You got to keep doing things. So now looking back at that, a moment to reflect three project, which has like maybe 20 something joints on it, the desperation, hunger, I guess you want to call it, to get my music out there. But I like almost like just as many songs as I could pump out, doing as many collaborations and doing all this thing. That was my I'm hitting up this person, calling this person, just like I was doing a lot of that. But
Uh huh.
now I'm kind of like with projects and albums, and I'm like I like EPs. I like the shorter joints, like what I did with my man Chinch 33. It's like 10 songs. It's like just enough. I don't you don't have to paint. I love Red, right? But I know Red has that, that Muddy Waters and even the new joint. Like it's dope though, but
Yeah.
not everyone can pull that off. So I said if I was gonna
Right.
do that, I'm only doing that on my mixtapes because mixtapes I could pull from anywhere. Like I don't know if you got a chance to listen to the mixtape, but
Oh, I do.
it's a very long journey. But like the albums, the projects, like that, um, I just condense things, man. I can't be everywhere, so I'm gonna just do what I can, and I'm not trying to overexert myself. Back then, it didn't feel like it, but now I could look back and reflect and say, "Oh man, I was just trying to be everywhere, everywhere, traveling New York, going overseas. You know what I mean? With
Right,
book a
right.
show here, driving, filming the joint. Like I just can't do that anymore. So now it's just a lot more intentional. If that answer your question, brother, my bad.
No, no, you did, and that's a great early experience, overall for you too.
Yeah, it was, but I had offers like maybe around the time when you were in dorms and in kind of like living with my cousin, like you said, like on the intro, because I
Mhm.
believe it may have been in 2003 or 2004 when Cy Martial Law and Pumpkinhead, rest in peace to Pumpkinhead, they had a mixtape that they put out. You know, the Power Man and Iron Fist mixtape, which they
Right, right,
actually
yeah.
they featured me on that joint. And at that time, my crew, my man, oh yo, peace, shout out to NJ, my people, Phenom, and a couple other heads are like, yo, you doing joints with Pumpkinhead? Because we used to listen to him on Stretching Bobito and everything. So that was like
Uh-huh.
a big deal. And Pumpkinhead showed love. So around that time, I was in school, and I remember Cy Martial Law was doing a lot of early hip hop camp over in Europe, and he was the first artist that actually offered me an opportunity to go to Europe.
Wow.
And it was do I do this hip hop thing or try to finish school? And I had to like respectfully, because that's my brother, I had to decline and tell him like, yo, I gotta finish this, bro. Because if I go chase that, I mean, there's a bunch of people that sacrifice some things for me to be here, and I just can't turn away from this. So I decided
Understood.
to stay in school, but we obviously stayed in contact and everything. But it happened 10 years later. As I reflect on that joint, it just kind of like opens up
Amazing.
a lot
That's
of that
amazing.
though.
That's amazing, man. Now, not the last time we met. It's been a good few years because I remember my youngest son was still little. I think saw you at was that Veggie Heaven, right? With the family.
Wait, the one in T Neck, was it in T Neck?
Was that T
I
Neck?
think the
Yeah,
joint in
yeah,
T Neck. Yeah, yeah, the one in T Neck. Yep.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh yeah, that was
So
a few years ago.
tell-
That was definitely a few years ago.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So tell us how you came to wanting to eat clean.
Oh man, I can't even listen. I would be a hypocrite. I would be all of those things to tell you or anyone else that I eat clean. In fact, it's been an absolute crazy wild journey. I think mine is kind of like
Okay.
been like everybody else's story where you eating your parents' food, my mom's food, and everything like that, and then there's like somebody in the neighborhood or maybe a couple heads in the neighborhood. They more than likely were in the nation or something, 5%, and kind of got knowledge yourself, and then
Mm-hmm.
start talking some other things, and then you kind of like
Right, right.
listening in because even when we were young, the sports players, the kids who were really nice and super brolic and all that, they were still eating like crap too. They were eating
Eating
the same
junk.
things as
Yeah.
us. So it was just like you just built that way type mentality until people started talking and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I started hanging around one of my cousins when he moved down to South Jersey, and he was a part of the crew, the Deadly Snakes, and everything when they started that situation. But I kind of just started like being exposed to more books, readings and these sort of things, and then I claimed to be 5% and was like, I'm gonna stop pork, which I actually did. I stopped at 96. I haven't had pork since 96. And then I just kind of wanted to take a little further, did it in 98. And then kind of when I went to college, I think maybe for about 2 years I played with like the vegetarian thing. But I really just didn't like how I felt. I felt weak. like, yeah, I might have been like thin and everything, and I realized like there's more of a science to this than just stopping, cold turkey. Like you got to be careful with
Yeah,
these things. We did Queen of Afua fast for, I think 21 days, and doing the whole enema thing, clean, learn watching Dr. Lailo Africa and all of these different people, just kind of like learning about the way we were doing stuff. It was cool. It got us through, but that's not like the healthiest choices. So just
right.
fast forward to those things, learning how to garden with my grandmother. When I started to kind of like grow my own food, everything was good. I'm doing a lot more juicing. All of this stuff is happening and putting other people on. It's kind of like a almost feel like a co-op. Like you have a co-op without having it, where I'm growing things, my friends giving me peppers, I'm giving them cucumbers,
That's
everybody
great.
blowing, radiating. And I said, oh, this is beautiful. And then COVID came, it got better because I had more time, but these bugs showed up, those spotted lantern flies and things.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
from there, like everything just kind of like fell apart. So now I'm on a mission to kind of like get back into it. But around where I am in these food deserts,
yeah.
hydroponic growing is the only way. But being that it's still so new to a lot of people, they're not really behind it. So
Right.
I'm trying to like, bridge what's taking place over in Nigeria over here, and kind of like have some cross cultural thing taking place where we're doing like the urban agriculture, they're doing the regular agriculture plus hydroponic, like mixing it like that. So to make a long story short, man, I'm still on the journey. Like I
We
like
all.
like I was just talking to my family the other day. Like I was watching this report, and it said that males, are we free to speak? And it's cool, like, and it's like uncensored type
Yeah, yeah.
interview. No, but it was talking about how now they test men, or they found strains and traces of forever chemicals in men's sperm,
Hmm.
and it's just like it's in your water, it's in your food, it's in your clothing. Like if you eat this, cool. I know people who were super vegan and doing their thing and they dropped. I know people who ate like crap and they lived to their 90s, almost 100. So I'm kind of like, I think it's just the mental thing as you go through this, like whatever you do, don't knock yourself. Tomorrow, work on it. If you eat like crap today, it's cool. I know you have your, they call them cheat days, right?
Not at all.
Well, I'm just saying, some people say they have cheat days,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
they
yeah.
do what they
I
do.
understand. Yeah,
They go into their cheat thing, and then they bounce back from it. So
yeah.
I feel like whatever works for you is
What
what
works
works
for you?
for you, and I'm still developing what works for me. Like I was pretty much fasting the whole day, just kind of like eating pecans and editing videos, and then they got some food, and I had just a bite of it, and I'm kind of like, whatever happens. If they have food after this, it's cool. Like I fasted before. It's like we'll be okay. So eating is,
Yeah.
the philosophy is you live to eat, not eat to wait. How do you do it? You eat to live, not live to eat. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. So I'm still trying to work on that. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that, man.
I get it. I get it. It's all in the discipline and your willpower, which comes not just from what you eat, but also other parts of your life. You know,
Yes.
and it all comes full circle. So now, it's 2025. I started in August of 2016, being a plant based and everything,
Oh,
and
so you're full plant based.
full on, yeah,
I think brother Supernova Slum is the same as well, if I'm not mistaken. Queen of Fu's son, because he was one of the first people that I saw, and I was like, wait a minute, like you can still have the frame and the muscles and all of
yeah,
that plant based, because that was another thing that, they played on the psyche, is that if you stop eating meat, then you just gonna, fall
You're
apart, be frail and
gonna,
everything. But you're living proof of that for almost, what is that, 9 years? That's
yeah,
beautiful.
9 years now. Yeah, yeah. And one of the things I tell people too is, it doesn't matter if you still eat meat or you're vegan. There's still processed food out there. So that's the key thing. Just because you say you're vegan or you're plant based, try and make as much food as you can. Don't always get the prepackaged products because it's still in some way or form going to be processed food.
Hydroponics for me, I'm the basil advocate. I grow it, a ton of it. I think I grow so much sometimes, I bring a little bit home and the
Mhm.
family is like, what am I gonna do with it? Pesto. I put it in everything I eat. Um, but that's not enough. Not where we are.
Right.
Like the basil is, that's good. That's one thing, but it's all of these elements, and then if, depending on how deep you dig in some of these things, even the so-called good stuff, you realize like, it's everywhere.
Yeah,
That's
it's
why I say
everywhere.
for myself, it's almost like it has to be in the mental, because in some shape, fashion, the form, it's like taxes, the poison, you gonna get hit. You ain't
Yes.
escaping it.
Yeah.
I guess,
Absolutely.
you got to look at it that way.
So how did the whole global village initiative start?
Oh, so that's my brother Raheem the Dream out of Nigeria, the Nasarawa Nauche state in Nigeria. He's a MC, radio personality. Um, I don't like to use the word activist, but he's actively helping his community. And I think last year sometime I saw him online. He put up a post. We have been friends, connected through a mutual friend who had passed away, one of my rhyme partners. And every year, on Facebook or Instagram, a day like, oh, today, shout out to my cousin Sean, today's his birthday, I think, too, the 27th. So
Yep.
like, whether it's a birthday or whether it's a death day, people are putting up memorial, sort of things like that. So I had noticed my man Raheem was doing that, quite often. So we would exchange some things, and we ended up talking, inboxing. And then this one particular day, he was standing in front of a school or a building that looked like it had been destroyed or being built up. I don't know, but it was a bunch of kids. He was talking about how he's trying to raise money to have them. I think it was a back to school book bag and book give out to the villagers and the kids and
Right.
things.
Right.
And
Hmm.
I don't know, man. I was just kind of like, I want to try to help, but I know the Nigerian scheme thing or scam thing it's a real thing. Like, I know people who have really been like, they've been gotten, and you hear stories and stuff, and then if I talk to people around, they're kind of like, so I ended up with, building with him, and I say, you know what, I'm going to invest. Like, V2G Multimedia is going to invest with what I can. It wasn't much at all, but I'll be honest. What really sold me is that I was just sending $50 when I kind of got paid. $100 for some people, that's a lot of money. I'm blessed to just say, like, $100. I can, if I lose it, it ain't gonna be the end of the world. So I
Understood.
decided to just see. So I, sent the first, and then he, responded with videos and receipts, and then showing me what he's doing, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty interesting. Then that building from last week, now I see like, oh wow, like, did my money really just do that? So then, sent another one, and I'm like, yo, this is for real. Like, my man is really like, this might be something. So then,
Yeah.
I'm telling them like, I'm doing this, and I do have a legitimate business, but I'm like, if you want investors and you want people to get behind this, you have to, you got to kind of like make this legitimate. Like, it can't just be like, you got to go. So, he went to the Nigerian government. got all the paperwork and all the other things, and
Nice.
got it up from there. And I said, yo, you know what? I want to partner up. So, we now have a deal with each other where I'm the director of philanthropy and global partnerships to try to like expand this mission in a hip hop fashion, because that's what we do. And I told them, if you want me to sell what you are,
Hmm.
which is hip hop like me, I can only do it in a hip hop way. That's the best way to attract people. So I've been just kind of like putting my V2G multimedia swag, stamp brand, whatever it is, on it, and it's opened up, some opportunities where we now have, it sounds crazy to say we don't have a $2 million deal, but we have a $2 million company that has invested in this nonprofit, which is, again, last year it wasn't standing. Now it's a whole school with windows, with
Wow.
doors. Now it has a borehole that they drilled 70 meters into the earth. They brought up water for the first time in this
That's
village.
amazing.
They had an old well, that was there maybe since the, I don't know, 80s or early 70s or something. So now the villagers are there, and now life. We got an artist now that's like doing graffiti pieces and memorial for one of the people that had impact in the community. And it's just kind of like cool to see, like, yo, hip hop can do this at my level.
That's
I'm just
amazing.
I'm just saying, like, at my level, like, because I don't feel like I'm anywhere. So I'm just riding the wave, and I say, you know what, if this is my mission in my 2.0 phase, I would look at, some other things in my life, and if everything's intact, I would go
Mhm.
full force with this for sure.
That's great. And I hope those that are listening, are inspired because it doesn't happen overnight, but it does start in your home.
Man, that overnight thing is, ah, that's um what's the dude's name? Gary V. So, I was listening to a Gary V, for anyone that listens to him, like, he's vulgar, but he's real. And where I come from, I don't care what you say, as long as you keeping it real, then I can understand what you're saying. Don't do the funny talk. But anyhow, he mentioned how, like, the algorithm and just, what do you want to call it, social media, is just, in this digital age, is consistency.
It's
Like,
there,
you
yeah.
gotta show up, you gotta be authentic self, for whatever that means for people. I'm just saying, just be you. You can be inspired by people, like Dilla said, but you just, when you doing your thing after being inspired, don't make their thing. Just, so I'm saying, like, adding the consistency with that creativity, and just showing up, and don't think that is going to happen, like you said, overnight, because even on YouTube, the algorithm says that you need at least a year of consistency, of putting content out. And that's if you can, keep up with posting 3 to 5, things a week. But it has to be stuff that's like, substance, because if you just do some
Right.
catchy thing, you might have one thing that bubble, and everything else just kind of there. And it's like that Wreck-It Ralph effect. I don't know if you saw that movie, but it's
Yeah.
the same idea. You people get the high, and then it kind of comes down. But if you put in some substance out, like you with these conversations, and myself, which is when I interview people. One day I might call you up and interview you, but it's all content, and it's also about how you brand it, and how you push it, and how you network, and just kind of like, just keep going, man. This, like he said, listen, even through your mistakes, there's no formula. You can go and look at somebody else's formula, you apply it, and it don't work, because your formula is not going to work the same way. So
Right.
I'm
Yep.
still just kind of like, literally, like, the other night I was looking at this sticker, and I said, yo, this is what it's all about. It's just about formulas. Whatever formula you work out in your life that gets you into that thing that it's undeniable. Look, if you apply this, it's gonna work. It's a formula. If you apply it, it's gonna work. If I put 2 plus 2 in the calculator, hit equals. I bet you 4 comes out of it. Maybe in another dimension, it might change up. But I'm just saying, like, I'm working on formulas, man, and the GVI is a part of that. V2G is a part of that. And just doing dopeness. That's it. And try not to talk so much. But interviews, this is what people want to hear. They want to hear people
That's what
talk
you want to hear. Yeah, that's what it's about. That's what it's about.
sometimes.
Now I gotta ask, how long have you had the name Venomous 2000, and then give us the origin of it.
Oh man. To say an exact year, I'm going to say rest in peace to my man King Islam. He was a DJ out of Camden, and I met him by way of going down to uh what did my cousin have that shop? I think the original one with Pinsock and Mark. That's what it was in '96. Sometime in like the mid '90s to the 2000s and stuff. He was in the Pinsock and Mark. So I'm thinking like maybe '95 is when I remember I told King, like, yo, you know what I mean? My name is gonna be Venomous 2000, the Ultra MC. And he was like, okay, like, okay, the Ultra MC. And then I told him, like, yo, but the Venomous is like, like how KRS-One, knowledge reigns supreme over nearly everyone or everybody. The Guru joint. And then the LL, I'm gonna do mine like that, where
Right,
it's
right.
it's acronym, so it's very energetic, Nubian, on mics, opening, universal sounding. So I made that when I was like, yeah, like I said, I must have been like 14, something like that, 15, and just over the course of time, I dropped the Ultra MC thing. But how the Venomous thing came about again was my cousin. He airbrushed, so he was really dope doing jackets and sneakers and all kinds of helmets and things. And there was some dope artists that would just be out there. And I think he met a brother that was an MC in a group called the Hunters at the time. And just from connecting and him doing like little tape designs and stuff, like demos, and me
Mm-hmm.
seeing it and listening, and I'm like, oh snap, like these dudes are nice, like who's doing this production? And I'm like, yo, this is like on par with like Wu-Tang energy. Like I love this. So I wanted to be a part of it. So that's the whole Venomous kind of like thing, because the Deadly Snakes, which is the group that they had, conceived of all different snake names. There was the King Cobra, there was the Diamondback, there was the Rattler, there was the Beatmaker, the Snake Charmer, there was my cousin, the Sidewinder. I wanted to be the Black Mamba. You know what I mean? It was all this stuff, and that was before I believe that other group, the Deadly Venoms. I think that was the it was a female MC group that came out. Arguably, I don't know which one came first, but I just know the theme of the whole snake thing. I was there to see the snakes doing it between Philly and South Jersey, and just being in that, I just wanted to stick with the Venomous thing, even though my cousin was just like, yo, go do your own thing, do your own thing. So the group didn't continue and stay together. But for myself, I said, yo, I'm sticking with this Venomous 2000 thing, because the whole science behind the idea of using venom to create anti-venom to fight the poison, which scientifically, from everything I've seen, it says in order to get a snake bite treated, you need venom. So you need to go get the poison to create the anti-venom to treat the individual. So we, at the time, I remember them talking, or at least my cousin talking, from the perspective of, yo, we're going to be so wickedly poisonous, deadly, that is healing people. So we like doing like some, almost like the it's martial arts. People
Yep.
that say biting the woo, but it's it was a different energy, man. And what's even crazier is that I remember like in '98 when they were doing music with Wanye Morris from Boys to Men. They actually had some joints with Poetic from Gravediggers.
Wow.
It was a lot of stuff that was going on. You know what I mean? Hearing stories about them being at the Wu Mansion, and I'm like, oh, I want to, all this stuff happening. I'm excited. I'm in high school. I'm like, yo, we about to do this. I know that N1 mixtape, whatever year that dropped, that first N1 mixtape, I think it might have been like 2001, something
Some
like that. And they had a joint on that. And then after that, I guess they all just kind of like went their own way and nothing ever came about it. So the
wow.
Venomous 2000 is kind of like birthed from my cousin, who kind of like was one of the founders of the group, and me just continuing on this dope energy that they started, and it just never kind of like blew up, man. Like I still got the unreleased cassette tape sitting over here, man. Some wicked
Nice.
stuff. Wicked. Wicked.
Oh man. Hmm. Now, last week I just interviewed another ill MC from Passaic, New Jersey, and that's Rashid Chappelle, who was,
Oh.
who was also on
Oh.
your 2004
Yes.
joint,
Yes. Yes.
Resurrection Hip Hop Mission 2, on the
Mission
track
2.
Big Ups.
Yes. Big up to Rashi. Yo, that's my brother right there. I love what he doing, yo. That's my dude right there. So I'm gonna let you continue because it seemed like you was about to bring it up or build it up to a question. Though my bad, part
Yeah,
itself.
I was gonna say, you're speaking, being that you were given the description of your name, I had to bring up that project because, like you were saying, you gotta have mix the bad to create the good. It has to be a little bit in between. So with your title and certain tracks on there, it was hip hop. Where it comes from. It comes from the foundation, and with the foundation, everything is not always great, but we always create the best out of it. And I feel that that's kind of a premise with how your project was back then.
Yo, that that was a ill time like in my life where I was at school. I was at Rutgers. You know what I mean? Rashid, shout out to Rashid. He actually to drop that verse, I had like little equipment in my dorm. He drove down to my dorm and we recorded in my joint. But just to kind of like just to build about Rashid real quick, like where we grew up on Midtown, she was maybe like maybe 4 blocks, maybe 5 blocks away from where I was on Hamilton Ave. If you take Hamilton, I think she used to be on Sherman Street because he was right down the street from his cousin who was my high school Black History teacher, Mr. Walker. Shout out to Mr.
Okay.
Walker. He was a brother that was and still is very pivotal in my life right now. But
Big respect.
she was always the dude, rocking and doing everything like that, kicking rhymes. My older brother used to be like, yo, man, in high school, she would just he'd be kicking all his new verses to me in class because I think he got me by like 3-4 years. But when I started to link up with him, I still think you can ask him this. I'm still the first MC that Rashid Chappelle wrote a verse in front of. So I just want to say that like that's the history that we have together. But during that time in college, man, it was so much stuff going on. I'm trying to finish up school. I'm still wanting to do this hip hop thing, but I am on a mission where, you know, I had because there's a song on here with between myself and Cy Martial Law. I think it's about smoking weed and not smoking weed, and I made it, an absolute
Yeah,
like
no week, yeah.
focus that I wasn't going to do that in school. So like at that time in my life, that was why we came up with that sort of thing. So it was a fun time, man. Like that project, I was meeting so many dope artists like around the New Brunswick area, K Banger, my man Silent Night, Unstoppable
Yeah, Silent Night.
Unity, my man Rasujima, my man Khan, Fallen Angels, my man Elo Kush and them dudes, Cy Marshall Law, Science is a Life, yep, Lifelong. It was just, it was so many people that was tapping into that New Brunswick hub city scene that I
Yep.
was just there for by way of school. But the
Mm.
nightlife was like all this hip hop stuff that I was kind of bouncing around. My man the Bill, who was throwing shows and everything. It was, it was just so much energy. So this mixtape kind of like came out of all of that was happening. I think I even did a joint called Full Moon over a Science is a Life beat. I was just grabbing everything, just, and my man Phonetic, like, we wanted to put a label together, right? And it was supposed to be like, yo, we just gonna be all hit records. Everything we put out, all hits. That was the concept and idea behind it. So he wanted to work on a mixtape. I wanted to work on a mixtape, but we had another rhyme partner, my man Phenom. He didn't like the direction. God rest his soul. That's my brother. But he didn't like the
Mm.
direction we were going. So me and Nedic said, yo, F it. We just gonna do it ourselves. And we put that Resurrection Hip Hop Mission 2 mixtape together. So that's why you kind of get like he do a joint, then I do a joint. Then we do a joint
Okay.
together. Then his joint, then my, and we kind of like piece that, that project together that way, man. But yeah, that's that joint guy. I forgot Rashid was on that joint, yo.
That's dope. I like that you gave history around that time in New Brunswick because I was around to see a
Yeah.
lot at the
Old
Court
Bay,
Tavern.
Court
Court Tavern
Tavern, Old
spot.
Bay.
Yeah.
Yep. Harvest Moon was another
Harvest
joint.
Moon. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And then whatever they were doing, like, with obviously the Ruckus Fest and College Ave parties and all the constant stuff that was happening in between George Street and everything else. It was
Yep.
it
And it
was
was
it was it
perfect.
was an interesting, it was just an interesting thing that was going on. My man Rasujima, Sue Winkler, she was throwing events and doing things with the it was a spot called the Yoga or something. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I like the culture. It kind of remind me of like what Montclair has going on. I just never tapped into that scene over there though.
Right, right. A lot of people been telling me about that. Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
man,
It's amazing. Now you have still one of my favorite projects, Sounds of the Great Ones, with
uh-oh.
Trillion out of Serbia.
Yes.
Now, I know you've known him and worked with him countless times. I mean, if it's not production, I know he's behind the scenes doing some engineering work. Let the people know about Trillion and how y'all came to have such a great partnership with the music.
Yo, so Trillion was like he was working with an artist that I heard him first, and the first time that we connected was with my man the Soloist. And if you
Oh, okay.
never heard of
Yep.
the Soloist, if
Yep.
anybody, if you've never heard of the Soloist, I've ciphered with him, done some joints together and everything. I think we did like maybe like 3-4 joints. But the Soloist is a very enigmatic kind of like artist and MC. He does mad work, but he's
A lot.
never
Yep.
really seen, like almost on some MF Doom stuff, but it's just that's just how he's built. But the dude is consistent. He rocks with who he rocks with. So anyhow, he had a project, and Trill did the beat, and they threw me on it. And then they had another joint, and Trill did the beat for, and I was like, ooh, like I heard the drums. It was one of those. I was like, wow, okay. And then the solo is rocked out on it. They put it on their project, and then from there, I kind of was like, yo, Trill, man, like, yo, if I like I got a project, like what can we do to like work with each other, or how much, talking those sort of things, like I want to work with you. And he was
Yeah.
like, yo, just send me something, and then let's see if you like what I'm doing, type thing. And it started that way. And then over time he ended up doing the he actually did the Moment to Reflect 3. He helped me with all them joints. So kind of like from there, I was like, yo, I gotta kind of be loyal with this dude, and like I gotta do a couple tracks with him, right? So we ended up just saying like, yo, do you want to work on a project? Like, yeah, all right, cool. So he sent me a batch of beats, and at the time I had another artist that I was rocking with, a DJ, and we had a project that was building up crazily. Had some wild features, had all these things, and just due to life circumstances and all these other things, we kind of like went our separate ways. I
Got
severed it, right? But what I said respectfully is, yo, look, whatever joints we did, you could take this, your beats, I'm gonna take my vocals and I'm gonna do like that Public Enemy thing, and I'm gonna just remix the whole joint. So, not even to kind of let it be known, and it's crazy that the Sounds of the Great Ones is like a semi remixed album because the vocals were originally laid down, most of them to other beats. So what I'm saying is Trillion said, yo, I don't think I can make beats as dope as the other producer. And I said, bro,
man.
you are going to make beats dope as the other producer. And it's okay if some people say whatever it is that they say. I'll vouch for it. I'll say if somebody say I'm corny because he flipped something that was similar to his, I'll take the heat for it. That's cool. I did it. I'll take all the heat for it. But we gonna do this. So those are my lyrics. I dictate what I want with my lyrics. So I did what I wanted to do, and that's how Sounds of the Great Ones was birthed. And because it was, some features on there and all these other things, it opened up a lot of things for kind of like Trillion, where now I know he's, I be seeing like, Recognize Ali. Shout out to my man Recognize Ali. All kind Vinny Paz, all kinds of people. He be mixing and mastering and doing all these things, and he's always told me like, "Yo, V, if it wasn't for that album, I don't think I would have been able to listen." Because of
Wow.
that album, he was able, at least for a while, to just stop working and live off his music. And I said, "Yo, that's what this is about. That's what this is about." You know, and that's kind of like how that project came to be. And we worked on that joint like, whew, wow. I know that Sounds of the Great Ones. I did a couple videos for it. I know I did the grandma joint, and then it was another one I filmed when I was like on tour in Mannheim that my man A Smith shot for me. It was, yeah, that project it got a lot of steam, you know what I mean? Like it was buzzing is what I'll say. People, I saw the cover. I saw that joint going, viral a couple times where some like really big name DJs and cats was sharing the image, but they had cropped out mine and Trillion's name, and I was like, ah. So I said one day I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna be like, yo, listen, my man Trillion deserves his flowers and stuff. So yes, he's the dude behind that. And I told him one day I'm gonna make it out to Serbia. I still haven't been able to, but that's one of the things that I want to do is go visit that brother and his family and his wife and everything. We try to stay in communication, but he's got children now. I have children. It's just he's busy. We just moving like this until whenever. He said whenever. V, hit me up. We can start at 3 whenever. So when I have that moment and I have that time, maybe I can be in Serbia and we work on that joint live, and nobody will be like, you bit any joints. Like, we did this live right here in Serbia. So that's one of my, you know, that's one of my journeys that I would like to document one day.
Gotcha. All right. So before we speak on your journey to Kemet, as well as the Hebrew mixtape, let's check out the video for Psalm 76.
Oh man. Psalm 76. Yeah, that's Trillion for sure. I remember that.
There, He broke the flashing arrows, the shields and the swords, the weapons of war. You are resplendent with light, more majestic than mountains rich with game. The valiant lie plundered. They sleep their last sleep. Not one of the warriors can lift his hands.
Hey yo, my melanin content absorbing. Beat a rhyme reverend, T playing the organ. Nobody's leaving the scene, smash them all in. Claiming you the best, hands down, that's appalling. Blow John Norman's televised record this. The season it be good in the hood, it's like crawfish. We thirsting and searching for working. Deaf yet it seems your eardrums are hurting. You're not prepared with stand behind the curtain. Wilder than a cartoon flick by Tim Burton. Transforming on stage called V the star screen. Busy getting live on the sets, keep the bars clean. Rip a page out of seam of a notebook. Blinded with the shining from my aura when you don't look. Ha! Now bust it off rightfully. Coasting like Ivy, rhyming in society. Humility and piety provided me honor for the gift through pen, that's how it gotta be. Worldwide like the monetary system. Yo, I provide through lines of very wisdom. Still biting my tongue, holding back the gushing. Still getting live like questions on percussion. The insurmountable, whole styles accountable. Puppeteers in their careers, cause I'm allowing you to feel a little powerful. It sounds quite appropriate. This crack through word form, I'm not smoking it. You can try to open it and figure how it got here. Looking for an answer in space, it's never out there. Never too deep, I only scratch the surface. Following the leader, you will never find the purpose. Salim said this the tofu circuit. Had to meditate in this verse before I learned it. In the wrong parts of the hood, you better turn quick. Same thing dealing with V, call him a wordsmith. Picking apart all of the art plus the soul juice. Giving dues, we're all paying out the toll booth. You're not walking away without an earful. Bring your best hunters around, turn them to beard fool. Like a ninja, be careful, it's risky. Dancing over tracks, think more ropes to Disney. Anti-whipping, I bully mouth like Joseph. Calling on the genius to come down, evoke it. His atonement, reflect on the moment. The war's inside, it's time to fight that opponent. Release the beast, keep a fleece if it's stone cold. Something is missing like the stories that are untold. Know what I know, it go boom, boom, bapping. Tuning you out after the auto-tune slapping. 76 bars of absolute madness. Damage the proof, I give Mike the closed casket. Inspect the light, go gadget. Imagine how I'm turning this pen into a hatchet. Rip through the fabric of time and travel right back to the first time on the stage. Take the mic back. Nothing achieved when I leave another blank slate. Sleepers in the house like the Manchurian candidate. I mandate my fans wait for timing. A couple of months, run them up and start vibing. Fold the book binding, it's the no hook rhyming. Read the prey all the way through before signing.
This the control temperature.
Your little circle ain't the right one to listen to. I got a visit from a fourth dimension visitor. Told me that I deal with more corruption than a senator. Pivot the position of living the life fully. Trying to hold it down, I deal with some mic bullies. Levers in the pulleys, keep a tool in the hoodie. But not the same one you use to take goodies. Your toy stories like Woody get slam vicious. My lifestyle humble, the voice sounds pretentious. We deal with cycles like a missus. These here ideas give me flair when it condenses forever. A student of life, still an apprentice. Your lower self still take aim that won't convince this king to put it down. The crown is many wearers. The ocean is vast, come and splash for water bearers. Hey yo, the ocean is vast, come and splash for water bearers.
Oh man.
You pronounced judgment, and the land feared and was quiet. You, God, rose up to judge, to save all the afflicted of the land. Surely your wrath against human beings brings you praise, and the survivors of your wrath are restrained. Make vows to the Lord your God, and fulfill them. Let all the neighboring lands bring gifts to the one to be feared. Embrace the spirit of rulers. He is feared by the kings of the earth.
Wow. That was an interesting pick, man. Like, I guess, can I ask you why that joint, man? I'm just curious to know.
I always, for me, I enjoyed that because that was the first video for that project. And that was the one
I believe
that
it was.
caught me.
I believe that was one of the first. Yep.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed that one. So when I saw the visuals for the first time, that's the one. When I think of the album and music videos, that's the one I always think of.
You want to know, like, because I still speak to my man Aaron A. Smith Productions, the guy who did the video that I actually met when I was out, touring in Germany, and now he's in the States, still doing the video thing and everything. But
Okay.
he mentioned that video and was like, man, if I could go back and do it over, I would have done some more with it. And I understand what he was saying, but now, like, I recall, because of how we were moving with the project, I was doing interviews and all these other things. That was kind of like, it wasn't rushed, but it was
Mhm.
kind of like, yo, I'm gonna do this part. And I think he wanted to do some other things with the actress that was in it, but he
Okay.
just had that one day, that one time, that one location, so he couldn't do all the things that he wanted to.
Right.
But
Okay.
it is what it is, though. But yeah, man, that song, that joint is interesting because it was a definitely no response. There's no comparison. Black Thought is my favorite MC. I was inspired because he did that black reconstruction. I think it was like 75 bars on what's the name of the album? I just know they had like Rising something. I can't recall the Roots album, but I heard that joint
Hmm.
and I said, yo, I said I'm gonna do some like apocalyptic. MCs love the apocalyptic word, so I'm gonna do something wild like that when it comes to the verses and destroy all MCs, and I'm gonna just rock like Thought and just go in. And I say, yo, I'm gonna just open whatever Psalm 76 says, whatever it's about. That's the energy I'm kind of like rocking with. But that was after I wrote it. Like, I ain't know what the like naming. I just say, yo, Psalm 76. So I looked it up and I was like, oh, that's kind of ill. That fits it like that's perfect. What do you use it for? Like, it literally says that the psalm depicts God as a fierce and effective warrior who fights on behalf of the oppressed and against arrogant foes. That's hip hop. That's what we do. Perfect. And that's why I call this Psalm 76. Nothing more, nothing less. That's it. Yo, I'm coming through with battle axe, swords, wings, lion, fierce, whatever to use the tactics, or bar work though. And
All
that's
right.
kind of the energy behind it and everything. The way
That's
MCs used to be, like the grand wizard,
yep.
the larger than life energy, not the, like, nah, I'm coming with like, yo, I'm coming with Psalm 76 energy. Enemy see you haul ass. There we go. He's coming through. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
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 So that's the energy behind that joint for sure.
All right. That's dope, man. Now, from there, I mean, you've had other projects. You had part two. Um, you also mentioned the project you did with Chinch 33, Mother in Peace.
Yes.
And then you had a few tracks leading up to the Heru mixtape. So I want to know, because it all falls in together, your journey to Kemet, the mixtape, and also your maturity, not just music, but as a man.
Mm. Woof. So how did we get to the Haru mixtape, basically, right?
Mhm.
Um, yeah, man, like the Mother in Peace album, right, that I did with Chinch 33. That was 2022. I remember that was in January. That was, I think, probably one of the only albums that I remember dropping like at the beginning of the year. And there's a guy on Instagram called Food Sick, I believe his name is, or Food SIC, and he kind of like reviews albums. And
Yes.
I remember he reviewed that album, and he gave it a really good rating and everything. After that project, and even if you go back and think about that album, I think I only did two videos for it. We did the pandemic, and then it was another one. It was so much stuff happening in my life and everybody's life during COVID afterwards that, yo, music just wasn't, at least for me, it just wasn't there. It was so much stress and all these other things, and I'm thinking I'm all right, but I'm dealing with the stress internally, and it's kind of affecting my creativity, which is why there was like a gap. And I had some things that I had written, but like verses, but nothing ready to go except for older stuff. So I dropped the transmitted in 2003 project that I wrote with my cousin back in 2003, but I ended up getting all the files. And once again, shout out to Trillion. He took all these tape files. Real talk. I had my like cassette tapes and whatever I could find from the old CDs, and was able to get a semi decent mix on that, just to put that album out, to
Wow.
kind of like make way for the idea behind this Haru mixtape thing. And I said, if I'm gonna do this music from now on, just like if I'm gonna do this teaching thing from now on, I'm no longer interested in separating who I am. Like, I do music in day, and dress it completely this way, and then afterwards I do this. And the reason I'm saying that is because you asked about the maturity thing. Where I'm at now in my life, like how you literally see me like this, if you see me tomorrow, 9 times out of 10, what may change is maybe the shirt, but it's gonna be the same kind of like energy. Like, yeah, he's the guy
Right.
in wearing white, right? So now that I'm kind of like locked into that, I just kind of I don't want to separate anything. What I do here is good enough to teach people. It's educational. Like, I'm not doing anything harmful. Matter of fact, I think if I showed some kids some things that I know, I think I can help them out a lot more. But you work in districts, and they don't understand hip hop truly, and I'm really starting to see it. Even when you have little pockets of it, like, man, they really don't understand this hip hop thing. So who's better to show them than just some? This is hip hop. I come in, I rock, I do this. So let me paint this picture and show y'all live.
Right.
Sunday nights, I'm gonna be writing my verses, and I'm gonna go on Instagram, and I'm gonna pick whoever. Give me a producer, and we go on there, look, and I'm gonna write a joint. That's what started, and I'm gonna release the verse on Thursdays. That's how the mixtape idea started, with wanting to use V2G multimedia to put out content. So I was like, how can I put out content? Because going to search for it, like, man, I just got to put out my stuff. So let me just write a verse. I could do that. I could film myself. I could edit it. I could put some words. Let me put that out there. Matter of fact, let me change the screen a little to make it a little more entertaining and things. And it just kind of just became like, yo, I'm going to just do this for a whole year. I'm going to try to put out content consistently for a whole year for my business.
Mhm.
But this one series, A Moment to Spit, that I drop on Thursdays, I'm gonna use this to then put out and release as an actual mixtape. So as I'm doing it, I'm also working on the AI stuff, and I said, wait a minute, let me try to animate myself. Maybe that'll get it more traction, because I mean, MCs are MCs, they egotistical. I get tired of seeing my face rapping. So let me put something up. You know what I mean? So I started to do the animations. People like, yo, those are dope. And I said, yo, I'm gonna just animate all 52 verses, and kind of like, I'm gonna turn it into a curriculum. Then I'm gonna start painting stories about the things that I'm doing in my life from the verses, and just kind of like tie that into it, and just be like, oh, this is my own reality that I'm morphing the cosmic realm. This is me. Accept it if you want to. It's like I'm the hip hop Stan Lee, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And all I'm going to be doing is putting myself in a cartoon here, but it's a cartoon. But no, I'm really in Kemet too. And then in the cartoon, you might see something, and then later on, like, yeah, I really did that. Like, yeah, look, I'm in Nigeria now. I did the the verse in the song, like this is the plan. Like I'm doing what all of everyone now is reading and saying you manifest in this. Oh, so you know what? I do manifestation music. That's what the Haru mixtape is. It's my first attempt, newest mixtape release of this is manifestation music. But it's not the first, because I'm quite sure any artist could go back 20 years ago to something that they wrote and be like, yo, this is almost prolific. I was talking this back 20 years and look, I'm doing it here. Like, yeah, this is what we do. We're visionaries, we're thinkers. So you got good ideas. There's a bunch of people that tell you your ideas aren't good. Then later on, when they like, oh, they come back and you could either put them down or just be like, yo, I told you. So the Haru mixtape is like, yo, this is my journey. Come through with me. I got some dope stuff, but even better, forget me. I'm inspired by all of these producers. Go check out their work. And look, by me doing that, I got an album with my man Damon Flores that came from me doing these verses. I got a joint with my man Tanaka Reese that I'm working on from Philly, and we working on some joints with that. I got my man
Nice.
Grasshopper and my man DJ Spin out in Belgium, and we got the NJ Belgium project. I got my man NK in Paris, and again, just from me writing on my Sundays. I'm creating my
Wow.
verses for the project on Sundays with the content that I'm creating. So it's like,
That's
what's
dope.
my brand? I'm the brand. You're your brand. You know what I mean? Like I'm not separating this stuff anymore. So the Haru mixtape is literally, it's a mixtape demo. Like if I ask you, what's the difference? Because I think I asked DJ Tony Tone when I interviewed him at the brewery when I saw you not too long ago. When, I had an opportunity to build with him. But I'm asking you the same question that I asked him, like, yo, what is the difference between a mixtape and a demo?
Because you're still promoting yourself either way.
So what's the difference between a mixtape and a demo? So that's why I say, you know what? It's my mixtape, but it's really a demo. It's all roughs. There might be a song on it that sounds like it's professional. No, I don't. With the exception of the songs that we turned into singles for projects, and there's a few on there, everything else is open. So if someone hears it and they're like, this is dope, contact your boy, hit me
Yeah.
up. If you really want to work, we could finalize it. If it's the actual producer, we could do that. If it's not, and I say, yo, it's open, then you could do exactly what Trillion did and remix the joint, and we could put your favorite artist on it, and now we got a hit. It's a demo. So that's why I said I'm just gonna bring the world to me the best way I can by sitting in my little studio and doing what all those hours at Rutgers, which I didn't go to school for this. I just, like most of us, we just get behind it and you learn it. And I'm putting it all together through V2G Multimedia, and still in the process of learning the business, because there's so much involved with this, man. So I'm a newbie, bro. This is only year 2 is what I'll say, based on this whole energy shift. This is year 2. I almost lost my mom like 2 years ago from a heart condition. And that's what kind of like made me reevaluate, and like I got to get serious with my business, made me think
Right.
about my health and all these other things, which again, I lost maybe about 20-30 pounds from that 2-year time period. And I'm at a weight now where I said, I'm at a good space
Good. Yeah.
until I can change some other things that'll put me in a better space, if that makes sense. That's where I'm at with it. So yeah, the Haru mixtape is just all this new energy. So there's still going to be at least I would say almost maybe another 6 or 7 months of me still releasing every Thursday at 11:11. Now what you're going to hear is joints from the mixtape, but you're going to see the new visuals for it. And I'll tell you, bruh, with all this, what I'm doing, because I sent it to one of the artists that I'm working with, yo, they looking crazy. It's getting better. And it's living proof to just see how I started doing the animations about 4 months ago to the new ones that are about to come out, it's ridiculous. But it takes hours and stuff. But this is the
Yeah.
business that I'm in. So now I have to just tailor my life around this so that way ideas like the Haru mixtape doesn't have to interfere with my home life, but it can still open up opportunities. So it's like manifestation music and being a lot more intentional with my releases, projects, thoughts, the things that I say, and movements and everything. And yes, health, I'm still working on that too. So you the coach, you coaching me. You just looking, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta work. And I see the push-ups and stuff, and I'm like, yo, I hold my joints like that too, but I be shaking and everything. But what I mean, I do all right. Every once in a while, I go on with my man out in Patterson and East Side Park, my man Nedick. We be trying to, he consistently does it, but I'm one of the dudes where I'm like, yeah, I know I need to be here more often, but at least I'm here now.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some
That's
people that never show up.
Mm.
So, bear with me. That's all.
There it is. And like your own motto for V2G Multimedia, your vision is not a dream. And here it is.
It's I don't know how much time we have, but it's not a that came to me and I thought about it. Your visions are not a dream. They're like realities waiting for you to open them up.
Mm.
Because it's like I work in the school system, right? And I worked on a couple curriculums. Like I wrote a photography curriculum for the school district that I was working in for like a summer program. We used it for a while, but when you don't have people as passionate as you, it don't matter how good the writing is. It's just it ain't gonna work. They don't come with the same intensity, so that didn't work. Then I had like a hip hop 101 songwriting thing. It didn't really work, but it taught me something that in order to design curriculums and projects, this backwards by design mentality is what you have to incorporate, because you have to see the end so that way you'll know the potential pitfalls, the things that you got to look for, work on, plan A, plan B, plan C, like all of these things is what you have to kind of like, cultivate and develop. So it taught me, like with my business, that those dreams is kind of like the same thing. So when you have that dream, it's a vision, it's an
Mhm.
end, whatever it may be, whether it's somebody losing weight, whether it's you wanting to be in the house that you want to live in, whether it's the car you want to drive or the school you want to attend. They always teach you got to have the goal first, and then now you got to work on steps. But then they ain't just working on steps though. Like remember, your steps go here, but sometimes you might be stuck on that step, and now you got to work this way. So you got to incorporate those things, and then you go up, and now you got to probably work back this way here. So I'm learning, like, yes, with V2G, even myself with my vision, this is year 2 since I kind of like officially went official with my business. And I'm like, well, I need to manifest what I said in one of my verses, where I have to now translate or transform losses in my business to a great gain. Like in most businesses in the United States, like the average person who has a business, like they're not in the green, and they're not in the green for some time. So it takes a while for this to go, but again, consistency and all these other things. So I got to look at what I'm doing now in year 2. Is it greater than what I was doing in year 1? Yeah, I could say that. Yo, I didn't have a company that I was working with, and yo, it had like real results outside of hip hop, but connected through hip hop. So I ain't gonna throw this hip hop thing away. I'm gonna just do more of this moving forward. But again, just try to be a little bit more intentional with it all. So even these interviews, I'm realizing, yo, you got to start speaking again. You got to start connecting with people. Like I just can't be here in this studio, have all this great stuff, but nobody ever sees it or nobody ever hears it. So I'm working on packaging a lot more so I can pump a whole lot more out because woof, I probably got years of material to release.
I can imagine. And you're doing it the right way because you're asking the right questions to yourself about the business. And anything you do in life, you can't just wait around for anybody else. You need to ask those questions. You got to have that critical thinking as well. If you want to expand, you want to be successful. These are things that you have to delve into and question. And again, you have to accept criticism as well.
You mentioned that that expansion and then not waiting. Um, the infamous Amadeus, who does the Punchline Academy. That's my man. I did a joint with him, and we were kicking it at the Urban Arts Festival that they just had in Morristown, and I interviewed him, and my question was kind of like along that line of as far as like kind of like what keeps you motivated, and he said that very thing you said, like he got tired of waiting for people to do things. Like, you want to do a video, you got a dope, you're an artist, you got a dope joint, and you reach out to this person, they kind of like, then the price is this and it's well, and then you just like, man, I'd rather just buy the camera, make a so-called cheesy video, but at least it's done. And that's kind of how it went for me too. And the same thing with like recording. Like I didn't start off with a great mic, but I'm gonna get a mic and I'm gonna do this because I'm not. When I go to the studio over here, I don't want 15 people in there because 14 of them more than likely not even interested in doing music. They just around, and I don't. If I'm working with people and I'm putting in work, I'm expecting everybody else to put in work. So right now I'm putting in my work and I'm alone. So when I find those individuals that match the energy, then I could pull them in. And those are the only kinds of business relationships that I'm looking for, because what I have with the GVI and what we building is a one hand washes the other sort of business relationship, which people say that, but is really one hand stabs you behind the back sort of relationship is what most businesses have with each other. And that's why we have the state of everything that we have. That's a whole nother thing. But yeah, I see you shaking your head, we're just trying to bring back principles, man. Like that's it. If you eat and you eating good, and I get to eat a little something, I'm good with that if it's enough to sustain me. And then when I'm really eating, if you get a little off that, you cool with it, then we just make sure we just keep feeding each other and everything. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, no issues or anything. You're going to have disagreements, arguments. That's life.
Yeah.
But the backstabbing, like, that's intentional. I don't want business partners or relationships like that. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's always out there, and experience and reading the room, you get a certain vibe, so you'll know. Definitely. I'm not going to keep you much longer, but we still need to speak on one more thing before we go, and that's your guide right here.
Oh, you want to know? Listen, I told you, still to this day, there was some, may have been a couple other people, but it's really just due to my own negligence, man. As far as you've been like that constant reminder. I got to give a shout out to my man John Robinson, though, right? Because in building and speaking to JR, and I believe we had like a group or something that we were in, But from the conversations of building with him, at the time, he's talking about this IP, this intellectual property, right? And I don't really get it, but I'm listening, because I don't see myself 100% in, like, what do you mean? But now, right? and one of the things that pushed me to doing this was the conversations that I had with him when you bought it and picked it up, and you told me like, man, like this is really like, it's almost like an artist's Bible. And I was like, really? Like, you know, all the stuff kind of went off in my head. Like, is he an artist though? Like, is he an MC rap? Is it gonna give him that same thing that it would? Like, is it, you know? So I did all this questioning, right? So I rebranded it. It's a new cover. It's new images. I added some elements and different things to it. So you have the first version. So I'm gonna say, hey, look, keep that, because I don't even think anyone else would be able to order that one. So you have something that if something ever happens, you have the version that I believe I took offline. And if I didn't, I will be taking it off because it's this other one that's up there. But I don't know, man. When I was traveling overseas, I was just looking at everything, and I remember my man Architect when I was in Paris one time. I was staying at his house, and he had a book by Stickman from Dead Prez.
Uh-huh.
It was more like an exercise, but it was kind of like
I remember that.
What he does is a routine and everything to kind of like push him through the journey of tour life, because touring ain't easy at all. That's a serious thing. Just like that move to Kemet, but this is different. Like when you rocking like that. So it just kind of made me think of the conversation I had with JR, and then also that book. And I was like, yo, what could I write that would be of interest to people? And I just said, what would have helped me? If somebody would have said, yo, I got 25 things or tips, essential tips, not all of the tips, but these essential ones. You can always add more, which is what you said. You can always add a volume 1, 2, 3, and all these other things. Right. But I said, okay, let me just go through and think about all the stuff that if I would have known prior to, like even packing my suitcases would have been different and all of those other things. Like, yeah, you better have a system to kind of like pack those clothes. Like, you run out of space quick when you tour. Like, you know, there's like even my t-shirts. If you into t-shirts, I do this thing where I literally like roll them up I do that rolling thing and then space save. And I'm like, you know. Then if you also an artist, like you got to think about like your merch game. And also you got to remember, like, you know, when you're doing that itinerary thing, like when you fly from this country and you go to this country, weight restrictions might change. So you bringing that vinyl from this place to this place, you might run into a problem. So for me, that's why I incorporated in that volume about having a hub city. So I was blessed that I had my man Architect, and I came to him with the idea, like, yo, Arc, like, you in Paris. Anytime I come on tour, I'm going to Paris first. If I ship this vinyl out, like, yo, bro, can you do me a solid? And yo, real talk, this dude took, I kid you not, I can't remember, it was 300. We might have ordered, it was either 300 or 500 records of Will to Power are sitting in Architect house. That was my spot when I first did it. Wow. I swear to you, bro, he took all the stuff for me, yo. Because it was a pressing company in Paris that wasn't too far from where he lived, you know, and I set up all the other things, and I said, yo, if I do this, can I, you know, book a tour? And can I keep this here? And that's why I incorporate. I say, yo, you need a hub city. Where you gonna get this vinyl? At least if it's in Europe and you tour in Europe, and it's at least countries where you could either take a bus or the train, then you're good.
Yeah.
Then you're good. But moving 500 records, forget about it, yo. So I thought about all of that stuff, and just like, man, when I'm riding on the train or on the plane, and you sitting there and you going over, like, okay, having a hub city, that book part there is, how could you improve what I left out or what I didn't think about, because your journey is gonna paint some of this stuff. I mean, it's gonna help you. But when you're there looking at page, I don't even know, page 7, and maybe it says something about the converter outlets, which
Oh yeah,
again, look, the converter outlets is one thing, but what did I leave out? I didn't know the first time over there that when you have your clippers, we running 120 over here. I think they running 240. And
yeah.
when you plug that joint in there, even with the converter, you need another joint that downsizes the energy so that you can use your regular clippers. I didn't know. Nobody told me. So what I'm saying is when I write that down as the converter and all that other stuff, someone could easily be like, yo, yeah, you know what? Matter of fact,
Hmm.
you better make sure you have some additional plugs. You better make sure you bring a surge protector. You know, like all those kinds of things. That's what that is, just to kind of like allow someone to just expand. Because I was just thinking, like, journaling is always good as you're going through your adventure. So why not have a guide that you also can journal on from someone that has sat in that same seat a couple times? And at least this is what I saw in my experiences, but I know there's other things out there, but prayerfully it might open up some things and help someone. So that was kind of like the idea behind it. And I'm still trying to figure out how to, because I'm not touring now. I'm like, oh, I'm not touring now, nothing's really happening. So how do I kind of like promote it and do all these things? So I gotta figure that out. But that's definitely on my list. But this Kemet project, I'm on the last episode. I'm praying that I could finish it before September 1st, because once that's done, now I can redirect on projects like this and some of the other things that I have going on, and turn up the maybe even see how I could turn the tour conversation thing and even intertwine it with the GVI, because that's the
There you go.
brand. Just you got to always just mix whatever's happening over here to incorporate this over here. And that means your brand or your hashtag is always going to be seen. So as long as somebody see V2G, GVI together, then you know what it represents. And I'm still learning, like, that's branding. Wherever you go, your name goes along with you, and you know that V
Put it there.
is down with it, then it must be good, because V don't be doing this. Just like if I see Wiki doing this, then that, you know what I mean? Like it kind of goes along with what you do. That's your brand. So I'm hoping that one day when I'm ready to really, really push this, people are believing it. That's all. Hopefully to help someone, like I told you.
Yes. You definitely maintaining the right path. You know, I appreciate it. Appreciate, hearing about it. You know, hearing what's in your mind and what has become reality.
Maybe I should get you to talk to my family then. Family don't want to hear nothing family got to say, but I still love them though, bro. But it's, yes, bro, I think you is what I'll say, that you would sit down and conversate with, me for whatever time period that we've been on here, because asking questions like some things are in my mind, but until someone asks the right question, sometimes
Mhm.
it's just there. So I've
Yeah,
learned in life, the key is to not look for the right answers, but to look for the right questions. And that's always been something I've written about and lived by since high school. And one of my early social studies teachers, and look, I'm also about a person about alignment. It's 11:11 as I speak this into power.
there it is. Yep.
Listen, asking the right questions will open up doors for you, because even if they say no, your question is still going to give you some information that'll lead you to what you're looking for. And that's what I've learned over time.
That's it. There it is. And that is the perfect way to end this conversation.
Yes, sir.
Venomous 2000, the Heru mixtape, is out now. And as we've been speaking, I've been putting up the links in the comments as well as dropping it in the banner. So, the floor is yours. Thank you. Let everyone know where you can reach out to you and also support.
So anything V2G, multimedia, V2G photography, V2G growing, Venomous2000, the Infinity Cosmic is my cosmic world thing that I kind of like got going with my Instagram. The Nauche GVI. I don't know if I put it in the studio chat if anyone would see it, but you've been sharing kind of like a lot of the links and all of the things. But yeah, just hit me up on Instagram, Venomous V2G multimedia.com, Venomous2000.com, the InfinityCosmic.com, NaucheGVI.org. Um and yeah, I say this to people because other individuals that I've been following who are a lot further along than I am, is what I'll say, or so-called more successful. They're like, hey man, just reach out to a person if you really want to do work with them, and pitch an idea or just present what it is. I'm open, man. If somebody hit me up about something, I'm either gonna like it, right? Or I'm
Hmm.
not. And if I don't like it, don't take it personal. It's just like, yo, this don't fit maybe right now what I'm doing. Maybe just that beat you sent I don't like. That's why when I work with producers, I like to get a batch. I like to sit, listen, and then that way I could pick all the other ones. Yo, whatever you gonna do with them, you do with them. Them joints dope, but these are the ones that spoke with me, and those are the ones that I work with. So, yeah, just hit me up. V2G Multimedia. I'm doing work, so I don't even want to speak too much. Just go look at what's posted. It's a lot of
Right, right.
things going on. It's a lot of things going on. And if there's something that I could assist with, I'm down to do that because with the business that I'm trying to work on and work with, and the individuals of one hand washes the other, man. So they I don't even know what else to say. I'm just glad to be here.
Yeah.
Like my man Respect the God say.
It's definitely great building with you, Venomous 2000. And
Yeah,
I definitely look forward to speaking with you once again on HHDG Media.
absolutely, brother. You be safe. Take care, man. And shout out to anybody that may see this show. Much love.
Indeed, indeed. And on behalf of our HHDG Media crew, we're going to say peace.